she loves me. Isn't it lovely when the one you love is the one you're loving?
We were talking earlier about BRICS and China and Russia, because I'm just like, there's so much focus on building a wall and these people coming into this country, ruining the country. And, there's so much friction right now. New York is one of these sanctuary cities, right, where folk
Yeah,
are being
yes.
shipped from Texas. That governor in Texas is really a horrible person. You would think somebody that went through a tragedy like he did would be a better human being, and he's not. It's
Um,
like just the opposite. It's like he's mad at the
Sometimes it
world.
makes,
So
there you go. There you go. Angry.
what do you know about what is happening with the migrants and the folk being shipped all
So,
around?
you know, the overall response when we started to see people coming in increasing numbers from Venezuela and and some other countries in South America was to like was, oh my God, we've got a migrant issue. We started getting into the Republican Democrat debate about immigration and why the migrants are coming in. A lot of it, the increase has a lot to do with the economies falling, or being in worse situations, I should say, because of the pandemic and some other world issues. Just overall across the nation, I'm sorry, the world, you see a lot of economic challenges. What I think, kind of where we missed the mark was we immediately got into this Republican Democrat debate as we saw Governor Abbott shipping people around, to sanctuary cities like Chicago and New York. And then we saw the same thing from DeSantis. What we should have leaned in on right away was that this was not a city by city issue, that this was a national immigration issue. And because this Congress has yet to act, to lean in and work cooperatively to address what has long been an immigration crisis, we are where we are. And so we needed, in some ways, like a 50 states problem. I mean, a 50 states solution to a 50 states problem. Had we done that, then maybe we'd be in a different position right now, where one particular city or state is not suffering, and more significantly, where we don't now have all of this rhetoric and this talk, where we now have Republicans who are going to be using Democrats' language about how one Democrat is destroying another city. Like, I don't know if you've heard the rhetoric, but it's like, like and I call it rhetoric because I don't think it's good, but we're hearing like how Biden has destroyed New York City. You've got this war now going on between Biden and Hochul and New York City, and these are all Democrats engaging in some infighting about an issue that is not just a Democrats' issue, but the Republicans are now using it. The Republicans are patting Eric Adams on the back, saying, "Good for you for standing up against this really bad president." We got a problem here, because if they figure out how to run with that, and now you've got the city suing the state of New York, and so you're going to have an issue for right to shelter across the state. And it's widely believed that the Democrats lost the House because their two seats were lost in New York State. So it's just politics that are creating more and more of a mess. And we know politics have been creating a mess without people really dealing with issues and coming up with sustainable solutions. And I bring all that up just to say that, as we're looking at Biden, people worried about his age, right? And centering on that, and not centering on, he's not a perfect president at all. But some progress has been made. The economy is still holding. Is that where we should be focusing? And we got Trump, who's got Republican approval, more money rolling in. He's a crook, a thief. He's like just broken down all structure and all discipline. So that's kind of where I am.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why the narrative uh, aren't aren't better crafted by the folk who want our votes. And it's
Right.
just like, to me, there are 100 million people that didn't vote in the last election, that for a lot of reasons, and no one's speaking to them, and everyone's leaning into whatever Republicans throw out. Which, since who was the guy that had the Southern strategy, and then there's Willie Horton, and like they've been
Yeah. Yeah.
crafting these narratives forever. At what's the name, Atwater, and it's like it's
Yep.
always be Atwater, and all of these folk have always crafted these narratives so that we get distracted around things that absolutely matter not. Because whatever happened to the welfare queen? I didn't know that that was an issue.
Right.
Willie Horton, that one thing like, oh, they're going to let people out of jail. It was never happening. As a matter of fact, people are in jail that don't belong in jail, like we just talked about.
And look, and as a matter of fact, the welfare queen, if we're really talking about the welfare queen, she is white in America because, like the majority of people who are receiving public support are white people.
Yes. And rich people.
And yeah, there you go.
And
There's a
rich white
whole lot
people.
of support.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
1%
Tax
get
breaks.
welfare.
Yeah,
They get to write
yeah.
off their yachts and planes and stuff. Like while the rest of us are dealing with this, and it's really wild to me that no one is, those folk out there aren't crafting like all of the PACs. Y'all can't come up with a
Right.
witty campaign that's quick and short to just debunk all of this stuff. That we have a net zero negative immigration, under Biden and
Right.
under Barack
Right.
Obama. He
Right.
deported more people than were coming in the country.
Yes, he
And
did.
no one talks about that, right? So y'all talking about building a wall. The last two Democrats were sending people out of the country in record numbers.
Absolutely.
So this is, to me, everything. And we have 1 million jobs that are now unmanned because of
That's
this
right.
negative immigration, this net, reverse immigration. And the notion that they were coming here taking jobs that Americans wanted is now right there on full view. Why ain't y'all taking these jobs? There's 1 million of them out there. Go get them
Absolutely.
jobs that the immigrants. You said that they were taking your
But
jobs. Go
but
get
that
them.
was always a falsehood to begin with, right? But it was the rhetoric that was spun that, and a lot of it was pitted against, pitting Black Americans against immigrants. That the immigrants were coming in and taking the jobs that Black Americans should have. Was never the case. Was never the case. But now, what I'm concerned about is we're probably also going to see, and look, I'm a, me, I'm a praying woman. I'm gonna pray against this. But we've already seen a rise in hate crimes, right? But now we're probably going to see a lot more xenophobia. And,
You feel like we can have more than we already have? I
oh
feel
my
like
God, yes. With the
more gonna
rhetoric
be
and it
happening.
keeps building because now it's actually okay. Last night I was in a conversation with some people and they were asking the question, what is going on? And think about this. Since COVID, how much talk is there about recovery anymore? Like what recovery should look like? Remember all that talk about we can't go back to what was. We need to create a new normal because what wasn't good enough. And then all that talk just kind of disappeared. It like left like like the air. But what also left was any sense of kind of discipline and structure. And I'm not saying the structure that was in place was good. But just think about how is it that you've got a former president facing more than 80, I think what we're 85, 86 federal counts in indictments, an indictment with 85, 86 felony counts, and how he still can be leading in the polls. That shows you that we have lost all sense of discipline, structure, any order. And again, I'm not saying the order we had was right. But where's logic? Where's sense? Where's like discipline? How does that person be in contention for the presidency and be leading? And what does that do to us? And what does that teach the next generation? I had a young boy, a brother, 22 years old, say to me, we've yet to see the full impact of Trump. And I thought he was going to talk about his foreign policy, national policy, or lack thereof, or whatever. And he said, Trump made anybody and everybody believe they could be anybody and everybody, anything. And so now we got a bunch of people running around trying to do things that I would argue they have no business doing, that they're not prepared for. And that's a lot of what we're seeing playing out across this nation and beyond.
Well, when he dons the orange jumpsuit to match his skin, which I'm praying that will happen, with all of the Proud Boys getting them 20 plus years. I'm like, yes. maybe people would start to reconsider, if this is the path that they want to take. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I run my fingers through her hair as she smiles and says that she loves me. Isn't it lovely when the one you're lusting